Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for joining us tonight on episode 25, season 5 of the Standoff with Brad and Richie here on New Zealand Sport Radio. We're here live on Wednesdays on Facebook throughout the season. Evening, Richie. Well, after the Warriors loss on Sunday, I will concede and say the finals dream is over. Besides that, it was an interesting round with several one-sided wins. How are you going, and what did you think of the round?
I'm going well, thanks, Brad. Yep, very disappointing, isn't it? To watch our finals hopes just whittle away bit by bit each week, and pretty much the last nail in the coffin's gone in over the weekend, which is a shame. There were some good games to enjoy though, and I had a good weekend otherwise. How about you?
Yeah, weekend was it was pretty good because we didn't play till Sunday, so that only ruined the end of the weekend for me. But no, it was pretty good, pretty relaxed. Watched a lot of footy, as I tend to do this time of year.
Yeah.
Before we move on, I do want to mention that I was listening to This Warriors Life this week, and Will there broke down how it's still technically mathematically possible for the Warriors to make the 8. It's not going to happen because, unfortunately, we have to rely on the Warriors to win all 3 games, which we can't rely on at the moment. But I'm conceding already. I'm not going to backtrack. Paul's asked about the T-shirt. This is the Warriors Life T-shirt I won on Mix and Pick, which is an app game you might have seen if you're on Facebook and Twitter and all that. It's free, and it's something I do every week, and I've been pretty shithouse all year. Until that magical game. It was, I think, who did we play at home last, mate? Tigers.
Tigers.
No, Eels. No, it was the Tigers game. Sorry, Eels was the last home game. It was the Tigers game I won.
The last one we won.
The last game we won, I won at home.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks, guys, for giving me the shirt. It gives me another one to add to the rotation. But yeah, we'll get back onto track now, Sally, before I tried to give everyone hope about a Warriors finals run. So while we're live on Wednesday evenings at 8 p.m, you can also catch our show at your convenience on iHeartRadio and Spotify. Just remember to search for New Zealand Sport Radio. As always, we're going to cover everything you need to know in the week that was rugby league, including our top stories of the week, a review of the round 23 matches. We'll then stop and answer questions from you guys, as well as some questions we've got for each other. We'll then go through round 24 and discuss who we're going to pick or not pick, because I want to win the comp, so I'm going to be a bit devious, I think, before ending the night with a quick recap of Super League. So remember to send us comments and questions throughout the show, and we may as well jump straight into it, Richie.
Sounds good.
Big news that came out this week, I guess. The NRL are investigating pictures of Latrell Mitchell and what appears to be a white substance. The interesting spin I want to put on it is there was a lot of talk in the media and with former players on all their podcasts that they got coming out defending Latrell and wanting something to be done by the NRL about the people that take these pictures. So not the person doing bad, but the person that they've got there that's taking pictures and leaking them. There's lots of rumors about who the person was in this instance, but it was kind of what happened with the Brandon Smith stuff earlier, where they're like, well, who are his mates that are there taking the pictures? I think it's the wrong narrative. I can see what they're trying to say. Like, these guys, you probably got to have a better social circle that aren't going to try to fleece you for money because you do stupid shit, but you shouldn't do stupid shit to begin with. When you know that something like this could happen if you're outed. If you're going to do stuff like this, you got to, what I think it's like in Remember the Fockers and whatnot. The circle of trust.
Yeah.
But what's your take on it? I saw Paul had a little chuckle in the background too, so he might want to jump in at some point on it too.
If you have a better circle of friends, you're probably not going to be dabbling in the white substances. I don't know, but this is always going to happen. I feel like there's probably a larger percentage of players than what people might think dabbling in these kind of things because they can go out and do it, minus the hangover that you might get from excessive drinking, and they're still able to train and function. So, yeah, I guess that's why players are looking out for each other and throwing shade at people who are taking these photos. Paul?
In fairness, one of the defenders was Mitchell Pearce, who was in a similar situation with a photo and a dog. So,
well, yeah, remember that one as well.
Yeah.
I look, Jacko's here, shoot the messenger. Like, I mean, doing it mid-season, dumb, because you can't. This idea
he's injured at the moment, Paul. He's just trying to rehab.
You're still going to be but look, you shouldn't be doing this stuff in season anyway. You shouldn't be doing this stuff full stop, mate. It's just dumb. But I mean, to blame the person who's taking photos, I mean, that's just dumb. I mean, come on, absolute dumb. So yeah.
And I see Robbie's made a comment saying, "Am I going to win the NRL fantasy ring this year?" I'm not sure. I played first place in the first round of finals this weekend, and I lost. So I'm in a must-win match this week. And who am I trading? I'm not telling you. I know you're already gone, but I don't know who you're talking to in your little group. So I'm going to keep that to myself. I've got one trade left, Richie. I know you've played it before.
Yeah.
So I could be in trouble anyway. But yeah, anything else you want to add about Latrell trying to get some calcium boost to rehab his injury before we move on?
Nah.
All right. Another one that's come out this week, the media, mainly 360, I should say, have been discussing the Panthers and their use of tunnel ball, which people who don't know is basically just playing the ball without touching it with your foot like you're meant to in the rules, and have demanded the NRL look into it as it's a breach of the rules. To be fair to Penrith, that's a rule that's broken by all teams. Every team. My question to you about it, though, is do you think the NRL is going to do anything about it at this point of the season?
No, you shouldn't. No, I don't like the idea of changing up 3/4 of the way through the season. Yeah, it's like you said, it's not just the Panthers. All teams do it. Either they decide to rule on it or, maybe, isn't it now just you got to make an honest attempt to hit it with your foot?
Yeah, and I think they pulled out a stat that in the Panthers game in the weekend in their comeback drive to win, they had like 11 or 12 illegal play the balls.
Mate, you put a microscope on any team and you'll find those same numbers. I guarantee it.
Yeah, I know Adam Fanua-Blake at the Warriors is. I don't know if I've ever seen him play the ball correctly.
Yeah.
Just picking that out. But yeah, I think it's too late. It might be something that they decide to re-educate everyone on for 2025. But it's something like, I think Gordon Tallis said it best on 360, where he said it's something you're taught as a kid when you're starting to play. And I know, going back to my second to last or third to last season with the Marlins as a grown man, if you want to call me that even now, we actually had drills where we were there for like 5 minutes where you were holding the ball, going down on your knees, getting up and playing it with your foot and just repeating that over and over and over again. So, yeah. But I think the NRL kind of let it go a little bit because it does help speed the game up, and that's all they want. They want a quick game because a quick game's exciting.
Hey, boy, oh boy, they are clutching at bloody straws here, aren't they? I mean,
yeah.
Our rules are rule, Paul.
Yes, yeah, I'm sure. I know rules are rule. What thing? This thing hasn't been blown in my lifetime. I'm older than you guys. I mean, this is just a farce. I mean,
it used to get blown against the Warriors, man.
It gets blown once every sort of 10 weeks, maybe, when they're having a crackdown. I mean, they are clutching at straws. Every team does it. I think clearly they were in trouble filling the screen time, and they had like, shit, guys, we've run out of things to say. What are we going to say this week? Oh, it's a joke.
I think the top 8 teams should have all their points deducted because of it. It's only fair.
It's the only chance Warriors have got.
Hey,
all right. So we'll move on from that then. The Western Bears has been made official as the merger between North Sydney Bears and Western Australia's bid is now going to be finalised as a combined unit. There were talks that they want to do like one game a year in Sydney for the North Sydney crowd. What's your take on that? I know everyone's got such a hard on for the Bears, but I really don't care. Apologies to Hammer if he's watching as a former Bear. But I remember as a kid, the only thing I liked about the Bears was their jersey looked similar to Counties Manukau.
Yeah.
That was like the only thing. Yeah. I was hoping like the new Western Australia bid would have its own identity.
Yeah, that would have been better.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
They may believe that having a club like the Sydney Bears there will help strengthen their case potentially.
Yeah, potentially. I'm all for the bid for a team out west, and I think it's good for expansion of the game. Yeah, I'm just not completely sold on it being the Bears, given that they've got history in another area. You mentioned the Warriors cease to exist and then pop up somewhere else in Australia. Adelaide Warriors or something like that. It'd just be wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, sorry, they're going to play in Perth for all their games bar one, which will play in Sydney as a home game.
Yeah, so similar to what the Warriors do, where they'll normally play one of their home games in like Wellington or Napier or like this year it was in Christchurch.
Yeah, but they're the only team in New Zealand, right? So
I know we have that excuse,
but the idea that you're going to fly 5 hours to play your away game the other side of the that's where there are already 10 teams in Sydney. That's really stupid.
To be fair, most of your games are in Sydney, so they're going to have to travel there anyway.
Oh yeah, I know, but it's a joke. Look, have that. And the whole point of being in Perth, or your big chance is everybody's going to have to travel to you. You've got home ground advantage. The last thing you do is give that up. And this is a mishmash joke. Bad idea. Bad idea.
I'm not a fan of merger teams anyway. Not a lot of them really have done that well. The Dragons have done all right. They've won a championship. Tigers did as well, but it's the off-field stuff that seems to always be a mess. It's always like that, two boards competing with each other. We'll see what happens when they actually officially get announced. And Robbie said he'd love them to be the Perth Reds again. I think they're just going to be called like the Western Bears is what the name would be. But yeah, we'll move on, mate. This one, it's an interesting one. The Tigers apparently have been rumored to have asked the NRL to disclose the Storm's deal with Stefano Tukumanu, with them wanting clarity on why he rejected their deal despite it being the biggest offer he had. I know there are rules and guidelines in place regarding paying players under market value. So if the NRL have deemed that he is a 700,000 or 800,000 a year player and he's getting paid $6, that's a breach of their rules. But I think the problem for the Tigers is going to be what they've valued him at and what he's actually valued at completely different. I think he's probably valued at what the Storm have paid him.
Yeah.
Where they're just trying to get him to stay, so they're paying him overs.
Plus, don't you factor in other factors like maybe he has a desire to play under Bellamy in that system with Cam Munster, Jerome Hughes, Pappenhausen. Yeah,
the only way the Storm would be in trouble is if they're deemed to have paid him severely under what he should be getting. Which I don't think is the case.
With some add-ons not talked about. Shush about add-ons.
Well,
They do have a track record.
They do have a track record of that. So yeah, they should investigate right now. Potentially, that's an extra spot we can go up the ladder if they're found to be breaching again. I'm coming for blood. I want a finals run. Yeah, I doubt anything's going to happen, and I don't think the NRL will even bother giving those details to the it kind of feels like the dump boyfriend wanting extra info on his girl's new man type thing.
Yeah.
Like what's he got there that I don't? So I don't see them doing that. Robbie said amazing if Tigers players stayed, they would have been as good as Melbourne, Harry Grant, Teddy, Josh Adokar. They got so many. Pappenhausen was there. They got so many that just leave because
the Tigers.
Yeah. They've got to get good again, which is why they're investing in bringing the guys like Jerome Luai and that into the club. If they can be good again, people will stay.
Yeah, to be fair, they've been absolute basket case off the pitch for a long time, and finally they're not. And so they might be kind of like, look, we're not a basket case anymore. Please, come on. It's not fair. We even cleaned up our acts, and you're still leaving us.
Yeah, it's hard to say. Like we talked about it. It's officially confirmed this week, so we'll talk about it a bit later as well. But like Blaise Talangi from the Eels getting, we talked about he was told, you come to the Panthers, you're going to probably be our number 6 alongside Nathan Cleary. How do you say no to that? It's the same with like a Storm thing, or Roosters, as the case with some of those guys. It's hard to say no. And yeah, T-Max said, still paying overs at 600,000. Glad he's leaving the Tigers. Overrated. Yeah, I don't know what price you'd put on him. I don't think he's as good as he thinks he is yet. I think he can get there, especially he just wasn't going to get there at Tigers. But yeah, watching him live when they played the Warriors, I didn't think much of him at all. And I know everyone uses the excuse of, the team's not playing well, so he can't do his best. But he's in one of the positions that you can be good regardless of how good or bad your team's going in the front row. How many years have the Warriors been rubbish? And we've talked about like a Steve Price or, Adden. When things were really bad, you were like, well, Adden's still, one of the best props running around. You haven't heard that about Stefano. You haven't heard people say, well, like, he's up there with the Payne Haas's, the Adam Fanor Blakes. And Checker said Crosby and Flegg is better. I can't wait till Crosby is coming up. Yeah.
How good was that try on the weekend?
That try was good. He looks like a fantastic talent. So I'm looking forward to seeing when he gets his chance in the top grade. I know, Paul. I know. I'm sorry. Anything else you want to add about Stefano before we move on?
No, let's listen to Paul.
Yeah. All right. So I got a double banger for Cowboys. So the Cowboys are rumored to be interested in signing Regan Campbell-Gillard from next season. Your thoughts on RCG going to the Cowboys?
Yeah, that'd be a solid signing. You'd agree, wouldn't you, Brad? He's a good, solid front rower. Your cup of tea. Yeah,
I don't think it would hurt. They need some help up the middle.
He's still got big contact in him too.
Yeah, and a big part of that was if they could shift a decent-sized contract, which they've managed to do, which we'll talk about in signings. But speaking of the Cowboys, Jake Granville announced that he'll be leaving the Cowboys at the end of the season with a sight set on going overseas to the UK, most likely. He's already... Catalan, yeah, most likely. He's already ruled out for the rest of the season with an injury, so he's donned the jersey for the last time. I was trying to think of a nice way to talk about Granville during the week. He's an all right player.
He was a good utility player for them. He filled a lot of different gaps for the Cowboys and did a really good job of it. Yeah,
but is he a player you would have targeted to bring to the Warriors at any point?
No.
Exactly. I think he's a great player for the Cowboys, but I don't see him as a great player that was going to get picked up from anyone else. I'm trying to think of a Warrior in that mold.
There'd be plenty.
I'm thinking right now though. I don't know. Maybe a Freddie Lussick.
I think he's. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm trying to think. I was going to say Jazz, but Jazz would get picked up by a lot of teams.
You might be surprised, Brad. He did fill a lot of holes. I've seen him.
Oh, I'm not saying he's bad.
Played hooker. I've seen him play through the middle. I've seen him play at fullback at one point.
Yeah. Jacker said he's 25. No one will want him except the retirement league. Yeah. He will crush it in the Super League, though.
35, yeah.
Make that 35, yeah. I was going to say, I didn't think he was that young.
No, he's definitely not that young.
But yeah, hopefully he bounces back from the injury and hits the ground running up in the UK. So good luck to him there. Sorry, it sounds like I was shitting on him.
Yeah.
He's not a prop. I don't care, mate. It's just how it is. This one will be interesting too, if it even happens. The NRL's rumoured to be looking at adding events to Grand Final Day, including a sprint race between the league's fastest players. Nothing's confirmed yet, but it could be similar to what we see in the NBA All-Star Weekend and the NFL Pro Bowl Weekend. Events such as goal kicking, Chanel's probably going to be our guy that gets picked there. Longest kick and a sprint between forwards may find themselves on the itinerary for Grand Final Day, either this season or the next. I enjoy watching the NFL stuff. I don't watch the NBA All-Star Weekend that much, but I don't know. Everyone just wants this bloody sprint race to see who the fastest man in the league is. So I get that point of view. But what do you reckon, you guys, about having an event? I could see most of the players that aren't in the grand final are already on the boost. So,
yeah, that was going to be my point. They've already had 3 weeks off, right? And then you're asking them to come back after being 3 weeks off since the last game. Now, it's not the booze they're on; it's something else. But as we've talked about earlier, they're in no fit state for running it 3 weeks later. They're not. They're all in wind down. This is off season. Now, I think it's the if you're going to do it, it's the wrong time to do it. Maybe
it's
do it around
All-Star the All-Star game. Well, do you do it at the All-Star game? Which is what we have an All-Star game at the beginning of the year, Paul.
Oh, the preseason sort of Maoris versus
Indigenous.
You've
been doing a bloody league show for almost 5 years, Paul. Come on, pay attention. That's kind of where it fits in. And then Jacker said the fastest man may be playing in grand final, so it proves nothing. And imagine if a couple did the hammy. Yeah, I think that's something that the teams would probably be worried about, that someone gets injured in one of these things. But I would be more interested in the forwards sprint myself and see which big bopper can run.
Maybe that's why they don't want to do it pre-season. Is that if you do your hammy kind of like the week before the season starts at the All-Star game, that would be a bit crappy. Whereas doing it at the finals when you got off season to recover, but still, I think it's right. I can't see it working.
Yeah, I don't know. But you got anything else you want to add to that, Richard?
I'll make them do a breakdance. Aussies are good at that, aren't they?
Yeah. I can't. I'm not going to criticize that lady because I can't do anything myself. So. So the NRL today announced the player inductees of the Hall of Fame. Wasn't that long before we went live, so I had to quickly write them in. So I've got the list here. We've got Lionel Morgan, Les Boyd, Ben Elias, Steve Renouf, Cameron Smith, Jonathan Thurston, Billy Slater, Benji Marshall, Cooper Cronk, Greg Inglis, and Sam Burgess, who is the first English international inducted into the Hall of Fame. I don't see any names there that I would go. Yeah. I don't agree. I know there was a few people I saw in the comments on the NRL Facebook page saying this person should be in, this person should be in. It's a thing they're going to be doing every year. So if there's a player you think's missed out, they're going to get a shot. So
yeah.
But yeah, I think for the first class coming back, after not doing it for a while, I think that's a pretty decent class. There's a couple of guys in there you could even argue will become immortals at some point. But yeah, I don't know if that rules out any of those names being the next immortal. I feel like you wouldn't name someone in the Hall of Fame and the immortal the same year, right?
Not same year.
So
yeah, maybe you're right.
But we'll know when they announce the immortal anyway. But yeah, anything else you want to add on that? We got a Kiwi in there again. So
yeah. Next round, could get a Mannering and a Steve Price, eh?
Yeah, definitely. And then before we go into signings, the Warriors announced the return of their members forum on the 28th of August. I've got a little blurb from it that they sent me. So Cameron George, Andrew Webster, Andrew McFadden, and Tohu Harris will be there. It's going to kick off with a Q&A with Tohu Harris, followed by a panel discussion, with finishing with an open floor for members to ask their own questions. You've been to a couple of these, mate. It's usually quite entertaining, especially when it's been on a poor season. You get some interesting questions from some of the members. That is, if you check in your calendars, that's a Wednesday. So I had a quick discussion with these guys earlier today and said we're probably going to push our show that week to the Thursday, so I can go to the event and then fill everyone in on the Thursday night when we're on the show. Paul won't be able to make it to the show if it's on Thursday, so that means we can go as long as we want. So I'll try my best to take down any interesting thoughts from that event, and we'll discuss it the next night.
Why aren't you just wearing a body cam into the event and then we go live?
I don't have the data for that, mate. But I still want to keep my membership too, mate.
yeah.
But yeah, they're usually pretty good. You usually get some good insights. I actually found a picture I took at the last one they did, which was a while back, which showed their plan up until 2025. And so far, things they've talked about have been followed through on. It was more talking about what teams they were bringing back, because at that point, it was a club with only one side. So all the lower grade sides have all come in like they said they would. 2025, they had announced back then that that's when their women's team would return, which is still happening. So it'll be interesting to see if there's any new insights or talks about what they're going to do with an SJ-shaped hole in the roster.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're going to give us too much info. They have used that before. You know, we were there when they announced Kieran Foran at the members forum and things like that. So we'll see. It'll be interesting. It's been a few years since they've done one. So looking forward to it. That's, I think, in 2 weeks. So not next Wednesday, but the following. But looking forward to it. We'll move into signings though, mate. So we already briefly kind of covered it, but Blaise Talangi has officially signed a 3-year deal with the Panthers. We talked about it quite a bit last week. It was a no-brainer. I know he's got a lot of flack from Eels fans about basically, you know, getting a shot this year and already jumping ship, but it's hard to argue with the Panthers. The potential to go to a team that's potentially going to win another grand final this year and be right there to fill a spot and go up with the best halfback in the game. I don't know how little money you would take to give that opportunity. So
it's the best. It's the best option to progress your career, isn't it?
Yeah.
By country mile.
Obviously we're the outside looking in. If it was a young Warriors player, if it was like a Luke Metcalf, I might have different views on it. But I think it'd be great for him to go under that learning tree, and he could become a real exciting talent. Jago said absolutely best pickup to replace Luai. Yeah, I think he has a lot of the same basics of Jerome, where he's a bit more of the electric one of the halves. I think he could do really well there with Cleary. So be interesting to see how he goes. Next big one was announced today. Valentine Holmes is signed to join the Dragons on a 3-year deal. There was some news yesterday about him apparently telling the Cowboys he wanted to stick out his contract. So that was obviously real bad scuttlebutt there.
Yeah.
So yeah, 3-year deal to join the Dragons. It's not a bad signing for the Dragons. They need a goal kicker with Lomax going, so he can basically replace Lomax.
He's like for like, pretty much.
Yeah, and it frees up some big coin for the Cowboys to go and get an RCG or the like. So not a bad signing for the Dragons. And then Ewan Aiken, he is the first Dolphin to jump ship and follow Uncle Wayne. So he has signed a 3-year deal to join the Rabbitohs.
That's a good signing.
Yeah, good signing for them. Tavita Pangai Jr. has officially signed a 1-year deal with Catalan Dragons. He's actually come out because he was asked about the Rabbits and said after that year, if Wayne was interested in bringing him to the Rabbits, he would find it hard to say no. So I don't know, this time next year we might be saying he's coming to the Rabbits. Well, halfway through next season, if he leaves like a lot of them do in the Super League and leave early. Tristan Saylor from the Broncos, he signed a 2-year deal to join St. Helens, which was an interesting move. He's still very young. He's kind of got his spot at the Broncos blocked right now with Reece Walsh, so at least he gets to go somewhere and play footy. And then I assume after that deal's done, he'll come home to the Broncos and they'll fit him in somewhere. I know. Potentially, do you think they look in like 2 years' time and Walsh has moved from fullback into the halves? Potentially. Reynolds will be gone in 2 years' time.
That's assuming the Broncos want Tristan Saylor back. I feel like this
True.
year, he's when he's filled in, he's been
done
a
a good job.
down. He's done a decent job.
Come on, he's done a good
he's
job.
He's had his down weeks as well, where I think he cost them a couple of games and made a lot of mistakes. So
yeah,
but he is young and talented. So
yeah, and then the last one, Cody Nikorima extended his time with the Dolphins for another 2 years. Yeah, that's good for him.
Yeah, he's going quite well there. To be fair,
he is going pretty good for the Dolphins. To be fair,
yeah.
But yeah, so that's all the signings. So we'll move into injuries. There were a whole stack, but I've just picked a couple. So the big one that was going through the media during the week was Hami Sili from the Dragons. Obviously left that Dragons game early and was rushed straight to hospital, complaining of shortness of breath and an issue with the chest. They've said he had inflammation around the heart, which I said a joke similar about that, which I probably won't say on here, but I said it in the thing about Dragons and Hearts. But it looks like his season may be over.
Yeah.
Hopefully he gets to recover. It sounds like a horrible injury to have.
Yeah, it's nice to hear from him on socials and stuff, though, that he's okay, and he's just going to need some time to rest and recoup. But yeah, no, it doesn't sound nice, does it? By all accounts, he wasn't in the best shape when he was leaving the game, and wasn't very strong on his feet, and had to be transported in an ambulance away. So yeah, scary stuff.
Yeah, very. And then I've got an update on Peyton Haas. He's avoided having to have surgery and will only be sidelined for 4 to 6 weeks, which means nothing for a team that's not going to make finals. So his season's done anyway. Adding to that, Reece Walsh has fractured his hand. That's normally around 4 to 6 weeks as well. It may be sooner, but there's 4 weeks left in the season for the Broncos. So yeah, I don't see them rushing them back for the final round.
No, they drop one more game. What's the point?
Yeah. And then Scott Sorensen from the Panthers did his hamstring. I haven't got a lead time. I don't think they picked him this week. I think they set him out. So it's at least 1 week. And then Mozasuli from the Dragons, he did a medial injury. He's out for 4 to 6 weeks. And then Blake Wilson from the Bulldogs in New South Wales Cup, he fractured his ankle. So he's out for the season. So a couple there, we're getting to the point where every injury is season ending now. But there's a couple of big names in there. Hopefully they all get back in reasonable health. Naughty Boy Corner. We got the big one, mate. We've actually got a decent charge. Kyle Flanagan from the Dragons. Biting. He disputed the charge and they ignored him. It's a 4-week ban. Oh, yeah. Jacko said TMM injured neck. Yeah.
Speaking of ignoring.
Yeah. Sorry, yeah. I've heard noise that that could be him for the year, which if Sean stays healthy, that was probably going to be him in first grade for the year anyway. But hopefully that comes right. Sometimes those neck injuries can persist, as we saw with Mitch Barnett last year.
Yeah.
But yeah, good luck to him. But yeah, back to the biter. Kyle Flanagan, mate. First of all, what did you think of the incident before we talk about the charge?
Yeah, well, it's a bite. Clearly. The question that's dividing people is Stephen Crichton's actions.
Mate, he should have been done for 4 weeks for headbutting.
Well, yeah. I mean, the thing is, it doesn't stop with Crichton. Crichton is bad for it. I must say he is particularly bad for that, but he's not the only player that once they get into a dominant tackle, use their head to rub and
establish authority.
Establish authority, make the tackled player a bit uncomfortable. So that's what's dividing people. If you put your nose into the mouth of a player, what do you expect? But I'm not condoning biting because clearly he deserves a spell for that.
I know on this show we've got the stick of me being the thug, but biting's where I draw the line. I don't.
Yeah.
I can honestly say I've never attempted to bite anyone in a game of footy. But yeah, there's that. Yeah, he was just trying to establish authority by rubbing his face and whatnot. But just because a nose pops up for you to have a nibble doesn't mean you should.
He took his chance. Yeah,
he did take his chance. And yeah, Jacko said Critter's a big favourite as well, so Flano had no chance. Yeah, 100%. If it was, say it was Raymond Mariner. No, sorry, wrong team. Who's a guy in the Bulldogs we could pick here? Sam Hughes, front rower for the Bulldogs. If he had given him a nibble, I don't know. I think he may have got away with it. So tell us to stop faffing. This is the biggest thing that's happened in months, Paul. We got a biter. I think the last biter was old James Graham with the Bulldogs, was it? Or was it Jack Wyden?
Yeah.
I can't remember which one was last.
The James Graham one's going way back now. Probably like over a decade ago.
It will be Jack Wyden then.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, are you happy with 4 weeks?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
What else do you want? More? Less? 4 seems about right.
6, 7. He almost bit his nose off, mate. We were gonna have Stephen Crichton looking like Michael Jackson for the rest of his career. So, he showed the pictures. There were like big cuts in it. Looked nasty, but yeah. And Jacko said, Critter didn't complain until after the game, and off-field officials got in on the act. Yeah. I feel like if it was that serious, you would have. I know there was a bit of push and shove, but he didn't push and shove with Kyle. He pushed and shoved with another player.
Oh,
so
Kevin Proctor bit Sean Johnson as well. There's another one.
Right.
Remember that?
Yeah.
A couple of years ago. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, 4 weeks. I'm happy with that. That potentially rules him out for the season if the Dragons don't get into the 8, or he'll be back in the first week of finals if they creep into the 8. And then next one, Panthers, Liam Martin. He got a 1-match ban for a grade 2 dangerous contact. Fair. And then Fotueka from the Titans. got a 1-match ban for a grade 2 careless high tackle.
Also fair.
One I didn't put on here, Tane Milne from the Rabbits. He got a big fine for a tripping action. The 3rd time this season he's been fined for it, and they still won't give him a ban. Which I thought was interesting. I thought once you've done it, that many times,
maybe they saw his tunnel ball try assist, and that was nice.
Yeah.
Let's
let him. So that's it for Naughty Boys. Anything else you want to add before we move on?
No.
All right. So NRL round 3, Roosters, led by Millie. She cracked 200 meters in this game, Matt. Bet the Tigers 20-4. Sharks defeated
without it. Can't go a week without saying the name, eh?
Sharks defeated the Raiders 24-12. Eels defeated the Cowboys 20-6. Broncos defeated Titans 44-4, and Dragons defeated Knights 18-10. So some good matches in there. I didn't get to watch all of them though, but we'll move on to the NRL rounds, Matt. Starting on Thursday, Storm defeating the Rabbits 28-16.
Yep, 5 tries to 3 for the Storm. Will Warbrick had 2. Nelson Asofa-Solomona, Ryan Pippenhausen, and Grant Anderson. For the Rabbitohs, 2 for Fletcher Myers and 1 for Cam Murray.
Yeah, it wasn't the most clinical performance from the Storm. They made 13 errors, the exact same amount the Rabbits did. However, they have enough X factor in their side to make the most of the chances that they had when they held onto the ball. Didn't put the foot down in the second half, scoring 1 try in the first minute and then nothing, which could be a concern looking forward. But the match was essentially over. I think they kind of knew they could coast. They'll need to show the ball more respect and find that killer instinct if they want to go all the way this season, though. But yeah, your thoughts on the Storm?
Yeah, I thought they were solid in the first half. They were able to take some chances and establish a good halftime lead. I thought they were very underwhelming in the second half, and their intensity dropped off a whole lot, and they conceded a couple of tries and managed to lose the second half. That's probably earned them a spot in the bad books from Craig Bellamy.
It's going to be a trend through most of these games, actually, about poor second halves. But your thoughts on the Rabbits?
I thought it was gutsy of them to bring some respectability back into the scoreboard in the second half, but pretty much like most of 2024 for the Rabbitohs, it wasn't enough to bring a result. I guess my highlight for them was a nice moment for their rookie winger, Fletcher Myers, picking up his first and second NRL tries.
Yeah. The Rabbits made plenty of errors, which has become part of their DNA, and they just lack that attacking spark to overcome the error rate, which they've used in the past. Defensive structure was full of holes, bit of respectability getting those 2 tries in the second half, but they're just counting the weeks until Papa Bennett returns to fix their problems in 2025. Your player to stand out here?
I went little puppy, Ryan Pippenhausen. Thought he was dangerous all night.
Yeah, and he played well. He did well for me in my fantasy team. Jerome Hughes, also in my fantasy team, did well. He topped with 58, and I went with him. I think he's got to be. He's got competition now that Cleary's back, but I think he's been the on-form half this season. He's just been really solid. So I was really impressed with him. Yeah,
I think with Cleary gone for that much of the season, he's probably favourite for Dally M halfback of the year.
And I'm looking at it, Nick Meaney, 3 from 5 conversions, 1 from 1 in penalties. I haven't looked recently, but I know there's an Englishman sitting in the background here that picked Nick Meaney as his leading point scorer. I think Isako's still got it.
Yeah.
But Meaney's probably the closest out of the 3 that we all predicted. And I laughed at Paul because I said, he's not even their main goal kicker. It's Pappy. So he's going to get nothing. And he's been kicking all year. So it's good to see. I still know. I'm still top of the game, Matt, when it comes to knowledge. But we'll move on to Friday's game. The first big surprise for us, Matt, and the one where Paul didn't want to back us in the multi, and he was right. Sharks defeating the Titans 44-0.
Oh, and how was I right? I mean, this is an absolute thumping. How did you the biggest win of the week, and you guys got it wrong?
Yeah, so did a lot of people, Paul.
That's enough conceding we were wrong and Paul's right, Brad. 8 tries to 0 in this one for the Sharks. Toby Rudolph, Sam Stonestreet, Jesse Ramian, Big Tommy Hazelton, Siosifa Talakai, Samuel Stonestreet had a second, Braden Nakora and Jack Williams. And the Titans didn't trouble the scorekeepers.
Yeah, Sharks really bared their teeth here, with all eyes, including mine, but not Paul, looking at a Titans win here. They made a statement as they clung on to their top 4 spot. They attacked with purpose and made the Titans look like a reserve grade side. However, another case of a team letting the foot off the gas, scoring 6 tries in the first half, only 2 in the second. But yeah, it's a great confidence booster for them as they're getting ready for finals. They will need to sort out their discipline, though, as they conceded 12 penalties. And that could prove the difference between winning and losing the finals. Defense, you could say, is great when you consider they had 12 penalties and didn't concede a single point. Yeah, your thoughts on the Sharks?
Definitely states. Go on.
And we've got cheers, Will, from This Warriors Life, cheering me on the shirt. It's an official warning I got from Paul at the start of the show for plugging yet another podcast on ours. So add it to list. Any other podcasts that want a cheeky plug, let me know. But yeah, your take on the Sharks, Matt?
Yeah, definitely statement made by the Sharks in this one. To dispatch the Titans, who were one of the form teams in the comp, hot off thrashing the Broncos to the tune of 44 points to 0 on the Titans home patch as well. So I don't think the Sharks could have asked for much more in their performance. It was the perfect answer to questions about the Sharks' form of late as well. So let's see if they can build off this and reassert themselves as a threat come finals time.
Yeah, I'm going to interrupt again. Paul's called me a podcast tart. Yeah, I've got a harsher word for it.
He's not wrong. Yeah.
But no, Will has too much respectability for his podcast, so he's never had me on. So yeah, I'm always available though. Your thoughts on the Titans? It probably won't go long.
No, putrid display. As I said, they were one of the form teams of the comp, winning 5 of their last 6. It just all went wrong in this one. I was starting to believe, and a lot of people were starting to believe that they could make a charge into the top 8 against all odds. It was starting to trend that way, the way they were playing. Yeah. But it all went wrong this week. So I don't know where that came from. Nothing was pointing to that, and you and I both tipped them foolishly. We should have listened to Paul, but yeah.
Yeah, and Jacko made a good comment. Not the ones giving me crap about being a tart. The comment about the Titans being an enigma. If you want to scroll up him, I'm welcome anytime with. But see, I'll just leave you, Paul. Yeah, you don't want the talent to get upset, man. But Jacko said Titans are enigma. So great for a week or two, then just plain awful, which is kind of what I said. I just said, what the hell happened to the Titans? They've been going so well the past few weeks and look to have developed a defensive edge to go alongside their sharp attack. And they left both at home here. They didn't attack well and they didn't defend. They looked soft when defending, obviously, lost on attack, disappointing display, especially at home. And they still have plenty of work to do to become consistent if they want to be taken seriously in 2025. And Paul said putrid.
Yeah, it was a strong word. Sorry, Paul.
Yeah.
I'll just make sure that everyone understands the long words, complex words you're using. That's all.
Yeah, he's showing his education now. He's showing me up. I don't like it. Yeah, their biggest problem, it just seems to change. We complained the last few years about they're such a dangerous side with the ball in hand, but they can't defend to save their lives. And then they kind of evened it out a bit where they were defending better, but consistency is key. We unfortunately follow a team that has a similar problem with consistency. So
Indeed, we do.
I feel, and yeah, Jacob said the sold out stadium emptied fast. Yeah. I was kind of hoping, I think we were talking with Ruin Hammer during the game. We were hoping that the Sharks would keep piling on the points, so it would be better than what the Warriors happened at that stadium earlier in the year. But wasn't to be. But yeah, Titans back to the Titans of old, really. Your player to stand out, I think we were with the same guy here.
Jack Williams.
Jack Williams, yeah, which Paul's probably going to say led fantasy. I think he did.
Yeah.
Yep, he led with 71. So I grabbed some of his stats quickly just to add to it. So he ran for 218 meters, had one line break, one try. Not bad for a second rower, getting those. And thought, yeah, it was a great showing from him. Well deserved. And we'll move on, mate, to this one. Had me worried on the multi. Panthers defeating the Eels 36-34.
Yeah, cracking game it was too. 6 tries apiece. I'll go with the Panthers first. Brian To'o had 2, Isaac Tungo had 2, and Taruva had 2. They were scoring in pairs.
Just doubles.
Yeah. For the Eels, Blaise Talangi, Jake Tungo, Sean Russell, Will Penasini, and Clint Gutherson had 2.
Yeah, I did say it last week. The Panthers just know how to win. It doesn't matter the margin. It looked like the Eels had their number, which has been a thing the past few years when it comes to regular season games. But the Panthers just stuck to the game plan and put on an unbelievable final 10 minutes to steal the match at the death. Not their best game with lots of penalties and errors, but they're just so hard to put away. And I can't see anyone stopping the Panthers winning yet another title right now.
Yeah. They pulled another great escape out of the hat, didn't they?
They did.
It was a result reminiscent of the 2023 grand final a little bit. They were really struggling with the intent that the Eels were playing with, and they looked certain to lose. But, unbelievable what they pulled out in the last 7 minutes, scoring 3 tries, clearly converting from out wide to allow the Panthers to save face and once again prove they're probably the most clutch team with the most clutch player in the game.
Yeah, and Paul said he feels for Gutherson, whose kicks lost them this. I feel nothing for the Eels, Paul. After what they did at Mount Smart a few weeks ago, nothing.
Yeah. If Cleary's clutch, then, Gutherson, not so much.
Yeah. He also, your thoughts on the Eels since we're already kicking in poor old King Gutho?
Yeah, well, no, for a big part of the game, I actually thought they were the better team. They put real pressure on the champs and gave them real problems, as they've shown that they can do in the past couple of years. Whenever they've come up against the Panthers during regular season, they give them a good run for their money, if not beat them. But all it took was for them to button off for a few minutes near the end, and that was enough to snatch defeat from the jaws of a famous victory.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they did a lot right in this match. Their attack looked on point, and they looked full of confidence after their win over the Warriors last week. They struggled to defend the Panthers at times, which in their defense is no easy feat at the best of times. But I think they just got a little bit too excited towards the end when that upset was going to happen, that they switched off for just a second, and that left the door open for the Panthers. And you can't do that against Penrith, because if you give them an inch, they're going to take a mile. Heartbreaking end of that game, and what's been a terrible season for them. And Paul said Brian Dottwell topped the fantasy with 67. King Gutho was top for the Eels with 53. Who'd you pick?
Dane Laurie.
I went with Dane Laurie too.
Yeah, that's very good.
Yeah, I've got more stats on him too, mate. 2 line breaks, 2 line break assists, 2 try assists, and 250 meters running.
One of those try assists one of those try assists was for the game winner too.
Yeah, not bad for your backup fullback.
Yeah.
As well. So first game on Saturday, Seagulls defeating the Raiders 46-24.
Yep, 8 tries to 4 for the Sea Eagles. Tom Travojevic had 2. Tommy Talau, Ethan Bullymore, Deli Cherry Evans, Lehigh Hopewadi, Taniela Paseka, and Luke Brooks. For the Raiders, Josh Papali'i in his milestone match. KO Weeks, Sebastian Chris, and Xavier Savage.
Yeah, big effort from Manly here. The game was pretty tight in the first half, but they just ran away with it in the second half. Luke Brooks played his role perfectly, and Tommy Turbo and Jason Saab just killed the Raiders on the edges. A dangerous side when everything clicks, which has me really concerned this week.
Oh, yeah. I'm always concerned playing Manly. But, yeah, it was a good win for Manly. The game was in the balance in the first half, but after halftime, Manly really picked things up, and the Sea Eagles put them to the sword in the end. They took full advantage of a Raiders sin bin and scored 3 tries in that period, and that was all she wrote.
That was one of a couple of bullshit sin bins in the weekend. Get it for what he got sin bin for. If that was me, mate, I would have been sin bin every bloody week.
Oh, I don't doubt you.
All he did was politely tell the ref that he was wrong. I don't understand. I don't understand the issue. But
yeah, probably the tone he used. I don't know.
Yeah. But yeah, your thoughts on the Raiders, since I stole it there and started talking about Joseph.
Yeah, that's all good. I thought they looked like they came to play for Big Papa's milestone game. They were going toe to toe in the first half, but all went wrong in the second. As we were just talking about, Joey Tapine will regret being sent to the sin bin for dissent, having to go at the ref. That never ends up favourable for you. But yeah, as I said, they really hammered home the advantage in that 10-minute period of the game, and the Raiders just weren't in it in that second half.
Yeah, and like Paul said, 2 late tries made this game look closer than it was. They led 46-12. Similar to the Warriors-Eagles game, where it looked really close, but it really wasn't. The Raiders didn't play terrible to begin with, but as the game went on, they just struggled to stop Manly's attack. I don't know what it is, but they seem to have issues in these big celebration games at home. Last year it was Croakers against the Warriors, and then now Papali'i. But credit to the Big Bopper for scoring the first try of the match. Raiders are still a chance of finals, but they just need to deliver 80-minute performances to get there. And your player to stand out.
Tommy Turbo, hard to look past him. He was in everything, the big man.
Yeah, Luke Brooks led with 87 points, but I went with Tommy Turbo as well. It's good to see him kind of getting back to what we expect from him after a few struggles with injuries. So, I thought he had a great game. Yeah. Move on to the other game that I'm pretty sure Paul disagreed with us on this one too, didn't he?
Yeah.
Or he may have sided with us because this might have been the one that cost us the multi-pool, right?
Yeah, this one cost us the multi. This one I did side with you. Yep.
Yeah, he did side with us. So, you're just as dumb as we are, Paul. The Broncos defeating the Cowboys 42-18.
Yeah, speaking of putrid, 7 tries to 3 here for the Broncos. Corey Jensen broke a 7-year try-scoring drought. Well done to him. Dean Mariner, Josh Rogers, Katoni Staggs had 2, Jordan Ricky and Xavier Willison for the Cowboys, Tom Dearden, Kyle Felt, Viliami Valère.
Yeah, I think they said Jensen he wasn't that many games away from breaking Alex Twowell's try-scoring drought record. So he didn't get it, unfortunately. I suppose he's very happy about it. But Broncos are on fire here. Most people expected another lackluster display from them here, but they showed up and looked dangerous. Just throwing everything they had at the Cowboys, which worked for the most part. They did make 15 errors, but their 8 line breaks made up for that. I don't see them making finals, but if they can deliver and string some performances like this together at the end of the season, it may soften the blow a little. And Jacob said, I don't think you guys are going to make the Gamblers Hall of Fame. It's just
Definitely
on
not.
balls. I've been making some decent money on my own personal ones.
Yeah.
I made $93 in that last Warriors game against the
Yeah.
Eels.
I've had a few nice hits this year too, but
all I have to do is steal Richie's bets, and I seem to do all right. But yeah, your thought on the Bronx?
I thought it was a big bounce back game from the Broncos. Down 18-12 at halftime, it looked like it might be another loss, but they somehow found their attacking mojo they've been missing and piled on the points, as we know they can do.
Yeah, and your thoughts on the Cowboys?
They were looking decent in the first half, but yeah, it is a theme for this weekend. They really bottled it in the second. Maybe a bit of complacency, but yeah, once they lost momentum, they only got worse the longer the game went on, conceding 4 tries in the last 20 minutes. Just not good enough.
Yeah, just like the Titans did earlier, the Cowboys had me fooled. This was their moment to make a statement, and they folded. They couldn't string much together on attack. They looked very disinterested in defense at times. They need to wake up, and or they're going to run the risk of an early holiday with so many teams looking at stealing their spot in the 8. Yeah, shocking. Player to stand out, mate.
I went Tony Staggs, actually. Yeah, the game was in the balance, and he came up with a couple of really nice plays in that second half. It helped swing the favor and swing the game in Broncos' favor. It's just real good knock from him.
Yeah, he led with 91 points in fantasy, 91 points, which is pretty good. I went with Pat Carrigan. He tuned out 226 meters. He was a guy that helped me almost win my match in fantasy. But yeah, I thought he was great. And yeah, but Staggs, Amantis has said as well, he was great. He was pumped up for that whole game. Yeah. If he played more like that most weeks, like he used to, Broncos would probably not be in the trouble they're in at the moment. But yeah, fantastic outing for him there. Next game, Bulldogs defeating the Dragons 28-10. This was quoted as the match of the round.
Yeah, well, this was 4 tries to 2 for the Doggies. Matt Burton, 2 for Bronson Sherry, 1 for Kurt Mann. For the Dragons, Zach Lomax, Tyrell Sloan. Yeah,
a tough, hard-fought win for the Bulldogs here. Another team that didn't play at their best, but they showed plenty of grit and determination, which has kind of been the spine of their efforts this year, has been that grit. It made up for their errors. Defensively, they did have some bad patches, but enforced enough pressure on the Dragons to squeeze them out of the match. The Doggies are building momentum and may become the people's team for those fans whose teams are out of the race. I'm on the fence on that yet. I've got quite accustomed to picking a finals team with the Warriors not playing a lot of them in recent times. I don't know if they're going to be my team though. But your thoughts on the Doggies?
I can't think of many others I want to get on. Yeah,
I don't want to reward people just buying all the Panthers players to win a premiership, man. I don't know.
It's a good point. I thought it was another solid win, which further consolidated their position in the 8. And what was a battle of the 2 big improvers this year. The Dogs proved too classy. Scored through a Matt Burton intercept early on, and a nice double from Sherry, with Kurt Mann capping off a good game to ice the game. Yeah, good solid game from the Doggies.
And your thoughts on those horrible Dragons?
Yeah, it just felt like they were a step behind the Dogs most of the night in this one. They did have a couple of nice moments, including a slick try to Sloan, but no result. And their battle for the 8 continues. Their position still hangs in the balance. Yeah,
and Amanda said Crichton's opened the floodgates for people using their heads whilst on top of opponent. Yeah, yes, if you know the worst going to happen is going to get bit. Yeah, you'll see it more. He won't stop doing it. But yeah, the Dragons, they just couldn't keep up with the Bulldogs here. They weren't terrible, which is something I never thought I would say about the Dragons. But as momentum swung away from them, they just couldn't get back into the match. May have used up all their luck with their big win over the Storm but at least their final hopes are still in their control. They just need a win. And Paul said Jacob Little led the fantasy points for 75, and Jacob Preston, top with the Bulldogs. Who'd you pick?
I actually went Burden. Yeah, I just like Burden. He's a great player. Got a nice intercept try, perfect off the tee. Yeah.
Hard to criticize him too much. I went with Bronson Cherry. He got a nice double. I think he's been going really good in his first year back from his big suspension.
Wonder why.
Yeah, he's got a bit of juice in the tank, you reckon?
Sorry. Yeah.
But yeah, I think he's been doing really well. I think he's really he's rewarded the Bulldogs for the chance they took on him.
He has been going well.
I wanted to give him the props. Next game, we breeze over this one, mate. Dolphins defeating the Warriors 34-32.
Yeah, unfortunately.
I say breeze, and then I look at the 3 or 4 pages of notes I have on this game.
Yeah, it always happens for Warriors games. 6 tries to 5 for the Waz, Ed Cossey, Kurt Capewell, Ali Leotawa, Tamaria Martin, Dimitri Sifakula, and Mitch Barnett. For the Dolphins, Felice Kafusi, Herbie Farnworth had 2, Cody Nikarima, and Jake Avarillo.
Yeah, the Dolphins started well here. Found a lot of success with counterattack in the first half. However, they were a different team in the second half, making plenty of mistakes that left the door open for the Warriors' comeback. But despite all of that, they came in clutch in Golden Point with a nice kick from Sean O'Sullivan. Not the prettiest win, but right now the Dolphins just needed a win to get back on track to try and save their season. Before I move on to you, mate, I had one player left in my fantasy for this round, and it was Hammer. And I was like, worst case scenario is the Warriors get dicked, but Hammer has a killing. Hammer did nothing in this game and ruined my season.
He really did not a lot at all.
Yeah, but your take on the Dolphins?
It was a much-needed win for the Dolphins. I thought they looked really good in the first half. They repelled most of the Warriors' attacks, were able to cash in on any chances they were offered, using their pace to break out on a number of occasions. Defensively, they looked more and more frail the longer the game went on, however, which is something they'll want to address. And I'm glad you spoke on the finish of the game, because I don't want to touch on that bloody Sean O'Sullivan.
No,
still dirty on it. Still dirty. He
couldn't hit the side of a building with a kick when he was with us.
Exactly.
It's a field goal, 42 meters out. And Amanda said, how painful was it to have more tries and lose to rub it in more the O'Sullivan drop goal? It's not the first time we've had more tries and still lost this season, unfortunately. But your thoughts on the Warriors?
It took a while for us to get going, and in my very biased opinion, I believe there were a couple of rotten calls against us, which were very costly.
Warriors fan, always making excuses, man.
Mate, I did say that it was in my biased opinion. Which proved to be costly in the wash-up, but not the sole reason we lost, obviously. Once we found our groove in the second, we looked dangerous and probably should have won the game, scoring more tries than the Dolphins. Goal kicking again hurt us. But 4 from 6 isn't such a bad day. Isako was perfect off the tee. That's what we were competing with. And probably just one or two of those kicks where Chanel missed from, you expect to kick it a nail.
They said it during commentary, and I had it in my review. I think he's hit like 28 in a row now, Isako.
Didn't he go over 30 during this game?
It might be over 30 then, yeah. But yeah, and Jack said masterstroke by Bennett, sending a fresh playmaker out late in the game with instructions to have a go. Yeah,
he knows what he's doing.
He's
not his first rodeo.
He's coach for a reason. Another heartbreaker for the Warriors. I was getting ready for a cricket score after that first half, but the Warriors showed spirit and took advantage of the Dolphins going to sleep a little. Scored a few nice tries from Grubbers and an old school offload try for Sifakula. As soon as Golden Point, though, I knew we were in trouble because we don't win Golden Point without Sean Johnson. and it ended pretty much how I expected with a field goal. Sucks to see them go down again, but the weight's been lifted for me with the finals out of the equation now until Will earlier this week said there's still a chance, but I'm trying to forget that. And yeah, like you said, there was a forward pass try. There was a penalty right in front for a high tackle that didn't hit the head. And then a sin bin for something that at worst should have been a penalty, being the biased Warriors complainer for a couple of seconds. But yeah, credit to the Dolphins. And Jack said Sifakula looked really good. Should have a good 2025.
Yeah, I agree.
And
he looked good on the ball. He looks huge.
He's been eating that McDonald's, mate. He's a big bopper now. He's actually, we can forget all the crap about making him a lock, replacing Toby. Yeah. He's our new Madden.
There was one defensive play when Felice Kafusi sliced through where I thought he probably could have done a bit more, but I'll forgive him. It's his first game at this level this year. Another fantastic talent. I really want to see him get a bit more game time next year.
I'm welcoming him into the prop club. That's where he can be. And yeah, Jack said, he could be another AFB in time. Yeah, I think he has all the potential in the world. He's got a lot of mobility for a guy his size. Needs to work on that fitness, but as you said, it was his first grade game this year. A bit of seasoning in preseason. Hopefully he hits the ground running in 2025. Paul said Herbie Farnworth topped with 94 points. Did you go with Herbie?
No, I mean, I can see why anyone would. He was unbelievable, but I went Felice Kafusi. Actually, I thought he was really good as well, and had a couple of really nice moments in that game.
Yeah, I went with Herbie. Herbie, he's just such a dangerous player. It was a bit like he was like that at the Mount Smart game where the Warriors actually won. Whenever he got the ball, you were in trouble. Such a dangerous player. So yeah, gave it to him there. And we'll go to the last game. Knights defeating the Tigers 34-18.
Yep. Sorry, bringing my notes up. It's just
be more professional, mate.
Yeah, I know. I got a bit excited in that game. So for the Knights, 6 tries to 3. For the Knights, Tyson Frizzell, Fletcher Sharp had 4, and Christian Mapapalangi.
Well done. I looked at it and went, oh my God, I don't know how you're going to say that name.
Oh,
it was easier than I expected.
Just rolls off the tongue, mate. For the Tigers, Adam Dewey, Solomon Fatape, and Jareen Buller.
Yeah, I worked really hard on this, mate, so get ready. The Knights' attack looks sharp, pun fully intended. Fletcher Sharp took over this match, and the Knights just made it look easy. Didn't have much to defend, and they just put in a solid performance to keep them in the hunt for finals. And they have a bigger task this week, though.
Yes, they do. Yeah, good result for the Knights. Showed some spark on attack and scored some really nice tries. Great day out for young Fletcher Sharp, who looked really, really rapid and picked up 4 tries. Yeah, funny, one of his tries off the Kalen Ponga dropped the ball but kicked it. And having watched one of the Union games on the weekend, the different interpretation of that, how in Union, if you don't control it and kick it, it's a knock on. Whereas in league, that was good. But yeah, no, they look pretty good with ball in hand.
Yeah, and your long thoughts on the Tigers?
Yeah, no need to say too much here. It's the same things every week when we talk about the Tigers. Some moments of good mixed with more moments of inaccuracy and low IQ footy, resulting in a loss. Wooden Spoon's pretty much all but assured now.
Yeah, Tigers didn't have much to offer with the ball in hand. Looked a little checked out and just waiting for the season to be over, to be honest. Got 3 nice tries, though, but they just can't deliver for 80 minutes. And yeah, T-Mac said others Tigers lost. Hard to be a Warriors and Tigers diehard this year. Yeah, I'm feeling it because Tigers I've got a soft spot for them. So, yeah, it's been a tough year this year. Fletcher Sharp led with fantasy, and I think we both picked him, right?
Yeah.
Hard not to when you score 4 tries.
4 tries, yeah.
Yeah, so that's the round. So I guess Paul's going to show us the bloody tipping comp. which is doing my head in. So a lot of us got, I think there's 4 of us got 6, so only 2 wrong. You and I were in that camp. Everyone else basically got 5, except for the Yerk, who got 4 but used their Joker. So that means they got 2 games right. So they were really going for upsets, I guess, to try to shoot up the ladder. Despite you and me getting the same, you've moved up to 2nd place, you bastard. You're so jammy. It does my head in. But Rocking Horse Road still 2 points ahead with a Joker in play. And yeah, Paul C would have been a good Joker round for many. Should have been mine. I should have held off. Yeah, you're 2 points behind in 2nd. Simon is 3 points behind in 3rd, and I'm 4 points behind in 4th. ACT Hellcats dropped down to 6th. Bjorn, who's not here tonight, I don't think, he's down in 7th. So it's still pretty tight. I can't remember if this comp counts for finals or not, or if it stops at the final round. I'll have to look into it, but we're running out of time there.
ACT Hellcat, he's a bit of a smoky there with no Jokers used. I hope he just doesn't know how to use them. And if that's the case, no one fill him in.
No, he used them in the first 3 rounds. You just can't see it because it's hyphenate. I think so. I think we talked earlier, Paul, didn't we, about how ACT Hellcat went too early on the Jokers?
Oh, good. No, yeah, you're right. You can't see the first. That'll be it. Okay.
But yeah,
ignore me. Ignore me.
Yeah, but yeah, that does look deceptive there. But yeah, so it's still a tight comp for a lot of us there. Hopefully, I can do a spirited comeback and retain my title. But let's move to the ladder, mate. I did top 8 last week, so you have at it.
All right. Melbourne still in 1st. Penrith still in 2nd. Roosters still in 3rd. Cronulla still 4th. Bulldogs 5th. Manly have moved up to 6th. Cowboys dropped to 7th. Dolphins into 8th. You're welcome, Dolphins.
Yeah, we helped you out. Then the rest, we got the Dragons dropped down to 9th. Knights shot up to 10th. Raiders down to 11th. Broncos up to 12th. Titans down to 13th. Warriors down to 14th. And then the bottom 3 have stayed the same, with Rabbits at 15th, Eels 16th, and Tigers 17th. I'd say Raiders up. Still have a shot there, you know.
Yeah.
I guess you could argue if the Broncos play like they did for the rest of the season, they could even squeeze in. But I'm going to say Raiders are the worst.
No Haas, no Walsh. Surely not.
Surely you'd think, yeah. So
they have a bye this week, though, don't they? So
they do. So they're going to end up on 24. So they could shoot up to, if things go their way, they could shoot up to 10th.
Mm.
And as far as the top 8 goes, looks to me like Manly and above are kind of safe. It's your sort of Cowboys and Dolphins that are really those last 2 places that are up for grabs. You think?
I'd say so. Yeah. I don't see Manly falling. They got us this week. I think they don't really have too many tough games left. So yeah, I'd say the Bulldogs may be a team that.
So Manly has got the Warriors at home, Tigers away, Cowboys away, Sharks at home.
Yeah, so they at worst should be three out of 4, with maybe the Sharks. At Sharks maybe getting them. I expect they should beat the Warriors, the Tigers, and the Cowboys. Yeah, and so I think the Bulldogs.
Jack, I think the Cowboys they have got a bye, but this weekend they've got at home. They've got the Bulldogs, at home, the Storm, and then away to CBY, away to the Bulldogs. Hang on, no, at home to the Raiders.
Yeah,
home Raiders, home Storm, away Bulldogs.
Yeah, so there's a chance they could get 2 points with the bye, but lose all 3 games, and end on 30. So they could get pipped at the post. Dolphins, I think, are the biggest out of that 8 of losing and not making it. But yeah, we'll move on. Questions. I see you had signed 2. The people that asked them probably aren't even here anymore, but as well.
No, both by Robbie. When all was said and done, who was greater, Stacey Jones or Sean Johnson?
For me, I got
Yeah.
Stacey just ahead of Sean, and that's probably a lot of childhood nostalgia playing a part there. But and just me romanticizing that 2002 2003 period. But yeah, I think Sean is close up there with him now.
Yeah, they're very similar. They both played long periods here, went away for a year or two, and then came back. They've had similar patterns. Stacey's had more games. Sean's had more points. Stacey had more tries. They both went to one grand final each. But yeah, I'm still edging with Stacey. I feel like it. I don't know. It feels insulting to put anyone above Stacey. But I could sit here and I've been thinking about it a lot because it's something I'm going to have to talk about in my end of year review about the Warriors season and where Sean sits at the end. I think it's just too early. And I'm a forward, so I don't really care about halfbacks. So I don't even know if I've got Stacey as my number one. But yeah, I could, like Jacko said, SJ. I could edge more to SJ as well. Yeah, I think SJ did a lot.
Watch SJ. They're both.
Yeah, that's the easiest way to answer it. I'm going with SJ. SJ's the best. And what was Robbie's other one?
Thoughts on the second New Zealand team? We talked about this quite a few times. In all honesty,
Yeah, shows Robbie doesn't watch us.
Yes,
a lot.
Yes, we like it, but it's not on the cards for a couple of rounds yet.
Yeah, and Jacko reiterated and said Sean. So
SJ is Sean. Stacey is Stacey.
Yeah, I could argue for either. I'm sitting on the fence. Yeah. So that was it for those questions. I'll go for my question first because your question's a bit longer. So outside of the Panthers, who do you think has the best chance of going all the way this season? If you had to pick a winner, who's going to win the grand final and you're not allowed to pick Panthers, who would you pick?
Melbourne.
I
think there's a couple of teams, Roosters and Sharks, probably have the ability but don't have the temperament. And I don't think they've got the ability to knock off the Panthers if they met them in the finals.
Yeah, I'm going Melbourne too. I know everyone's riding the Bulldogs right now and going like they're going to go all the way. They're amazing. They're the Warriors this year that we were last year, where everyone was riding us, going like, this is the little engine that could. Look at them go. And I feel like they're going to have a similar finals experience where they might get to that like preliminary final like we did, and they get spanked like we did. And if they do go all the way to the grand final, I expect the Panthers to rip them apart, to be brutally honest. I think, they're going great. I'd love to see it because, you always want to see like that underdog team go well. But I think like when push comes to shove, a bit like us, what was that score against the Broncos? They put like 40 or 50 on us, right?
Yeah. Well, I think one thing the Dogs have in their favour is that they're one of the best defensive teams this year, and that tends to take you a long way.
So were we last year, mate.
Yeah,
we were like one of the top 2 or 3 teams defensively, and then got spanked in 2 out of 3 finals games. But and T-Mac said Roosters. I could argue for Roosters too. I just feel they've been a bit up and down, where Melbourne have got that same level of consistency that the Panthers have. All we know is whatever team faces the Panthers in the final, they're going to fall apart the following year, like every team that's lost in the grand final the Panthers have.
Yeah.
It's an incredible stat, like to go from the grand final to not making the finals the next year. It's happened 3 years in a row.
True.
But and Jacko said Dogs are playing well, but many close, tough games, likely they're peaking early and will tire in finals, which again happened to us. It's just the Serraldo's 100% just copying Webby now. It's ridiculous. He's got to make that.
Hey, look, The Bulldogs have had a couple of away wins recently, but until then, they were purely riding on their home record, and that they've still not lost at home. They still every game home. But when you look at who they played at home, what Titans,
They have lost.
Roosters,
They have lost at home.
Season when they weren't going well. Sorry,
they have lost at home. It's not officially done. It was conceded by Graham Ellerslie that the Warriors should have won that game.
Yeah.
Okay, we can carry but at home, look, they've had the Titans, Roosters, Knights, Tigers, Dragons, Eels, Sharks, Warriors, Raiders, and none. They've had a really a kind of soft home record. When you look at that 9-0 has come without any. I think the Sharks are the only top 4 team there that they've sort of played. They've played so. And the Bulldogs are going to have to go away from home during the finals. So, yeah, sorry, I can't see it.
Yeah, so Amanda said that's interesting, Brad. I didn't know that thing about the Panthers and the team they faced. So, yeah, you go 2021, they played the Rabbits. The Rabbits fell apart. Then they played the Eels. The Eels fell apart. And then Broncos last year, Broncos not making the final. So it is an incredible stat. But the first grand final appearance in their dynasty was against Melbourne and they lost. So it could be a case again. Melbourne could be the ones that come in and ruin everything for the Panthers dynasty. That would be hard because I really don't want to see the Panthers win again because it's that just being too good mentality, but I don't want to see Melbourne win either.
Oh, yeah, I really don't want to see. I'd almost rather see Panthers go around again than see Melbourne win it.
Right, your question to me, mate. Your question to me. I know we're getting long here and Paul's falling asleep.
We always do. 2025, we take away Adam Fanor-Blake and Jazz Tavanga. Who would be your starting forward pack and bench rotation for 25? I know you're passionate about forward packs and bench rotations.
Man, what a doozy you throw me like an hour before the show for me to try to figure out. I sat here pulling my hair out, man. That's why I got the beanie back on. So I've got James Fisher-Harris, Wade Egan, and Mitch Barnett as my front row.
Oh, how good is that? Yep.
And I've got Mitch Barnett and Murata Nakore as my second row. Not Mitch Barnett, sorry. Yeah. Murata and Kurt.
You can't name it twice.
Barney's so good, he's playing 2 positions at the same time. No, Nakore and Capewell was my second row. Tohu Harris is my lock.
Yeah.
So I've essentially just picked the exact team we've got right now, but swapped Adam for James. My bench, I've got a hooker / utility. I don't know who that is, but they're not counted as a forward. Then at the moment, this is really hard. I picked a team and then realized I didn't have Jackson Ford in it. So I've put Jackson Ford, Tom Ali, and Dimitrik Sifakula on my bench. I almost had Tom Ali, Dimitrik, and Lecker. But then I was like, no, Jackson's going to be in there. I could even argue that they might have Murata on the bench, Jackson starting, like we started the year potentially. But that's what I would go with. What about you?
It was exactly the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. And I almost nearly forgot about Jackson too. I was ready to pump the young blood all onto the bench, and I would have liked the look of it. But yeah, I think Jackson offers something different, that workhorse sort of thing. It's funny having Jackson on the bench though. I kind of see him as like he's
one of your 80-minute toilers normally, which is why I could see switching him and Murata.
Yeah, but I like having Murata out there though.
Yeah. And I was going to put Chanel at 14, but I don't know what the halves are going to look like yet. So there is a chance we might be seeing potentially a Metcalf Chanel halves combo, which it's hard to play 14 if you're playing in the 6. I don't know.
Tamide halfback, Metcalf 6, Chanel
14. That's probably what I would go with what we've got.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we'll move on, mate. We'll go looking at the Warriors-Eagles game happening on Friday night. If you want to run through the Warriors team for everyone, mate.
I shall. CNK at fullback, Dallin and Marcelo returns on the wing. Pompey returns in the centres to pair up alongside Tuivasa-Sheck. Halves, Chanel Harris-Tavita and Sean Johnson's named to return. Front row, Adam Fanor-Blake, Wade Egan, Mitch Barnett. Second row, Marata Niokore, Kirk Capewell. Lock, Dylan Walker. Interchange bench, Freddie Lussick, Tom Ale, Jazz Tavanga, Dimitri Sifakula. Yeah, I'm wondering, Jacko. Jacko said Metcalf will be the halfback. That's what I was going to throw to you, Brad. You think he's going to be a surprise? Oh, wow. Would it even be a surprise? Do you think he'll be a late inclusion?
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised to see him in there. I was thinking more Sean's going to be all right, and they'll put Metcalf at 6. Chanel goes to 14, which has been my call for the past few weeks. But there are noises that Sean may not be 100%, so they may not play him. But I feel like if he's not 100%, they wouldn't bother flying him over, which they've already done. So I don't know, but they might also be going, mate, we don't want you to get injured and then miss the last home game. But it's hard to say. That's the only change. Looking at the extended, that's the only change I could see happening is Luke Metcalf coming in. Oh, and Jacko said, sorry, 2025. Yeah. We talked about it last week. I haven't seen enough of his kicking game. By all accounts, New South Wales Cup in the weekend, his kicking game wasn't bad. But I expect him to be either 6 or 7 next year anyway. He'll be in that starting line.
As long as he's in there, I'm happy.
And I would be more than happy seeing a Luke Tamati with Luke running the ship if they deem he's got what it takes. They've got a whole preseason to prepare for that. I'm sure that is going to be a question at the members forum in a couple of weeks. Everyone will be asking like who's going to take over Sean. So we might get as best an answer as you're going to get from the coaches who keep tight-lipped on things like that. But other than that, not a bad team. Happy to see a goal kicker back. Didn't think I'd ever say I'm happy to see Pompey come back.
Yeah.
And good to see Marcelo come back as well. So I'm excited. I'm excited about seeing the team go. I'm not excited about who they have to play, which I may as well go through that team now because that team looks scary. So Manly, we've got Tommy Turbo at fullback, Jason Saab and Lihi Hopewadi on the wings, Tommy Talau, Ruben Garrick in the centres, Luke Brooks and Dale Cherry Evans in the halves, Tanela Paseka, Lachlan Croker and Josh Aloye in the front row, Molly Olakuatu and Carl Walton in the second row, and Jake Travojevic at lock. Then we've got Gordon Chan Kamtong, Ben Travojevic, Ethan Bellamore and Nathan Brown on the interchange. It's a pretty good team.
It is. It is.
And Jacko said he said in the New Zealand Herald Webster saying he's not going to try new players or combos this year, putting more importance on getting wins. Yeah, and I don't disagree because New South Wales Cup teams actually got a legit chance of going all the way. So there's no point just dumping in all the New South Wales Cup players to give them experience in games that effectively don't matter. If they put all the young guys from New South Wales Cup in and they get dicked by Manly, that's not really going to help their development anyway. So I'm happy with them just play what they got, try to work something and just put in some honest efforts. But yeah, your take on this Manly side and who you going with in this game, mate?
I'm going to tip Manly. We've got a long history of struggling against this team, and it sort of always makes me apprehensive to going into the game. And I always tend to pick Manly when we play them. Probably last year was the first time I didn't.
I've gone Manly too. I think, we're not great against them at the best of times, and especially over there. Yeah. So I'm expecting a bloodbath, if I'm honest, but I'm hoping we see some fight. So we'll go to the rest of the round. And Paul's calling us traitors. We're trying to get you money in your bloody multi, mate. Not going with a horrible one. Jacko said Manly at home right now is scary. Hopefully not a blowout. And T-Mac asked, where's the faith? I can honestly tell you, The girlfriend's probably watching, so I may get in trouble. The Warriors are paying $5 at the TAB to beat Manly, so I put money
Let's
on the
go.
Warriors.
I'm
So
getting a piece of that for sure.
I put money
Like,
down.
yeah.
But I'm trying to save Paul's money. Otherwise, he might cancel the show because we're costing them too much money. So yeah, I'm trying to pick, and I'm trying to win the bloody comp. So I'm picking with my head here, not my heart. So Thursday night game we have Panthers Storm 1 versus 2, mate. I've gone with the Panthers here.
Me too.
Then Friday,
they're bringing back a couple of big guns, Fisher Harrison and Edwards.
Yep.
So,
and I just went with home team. I think if it was in Melbourne, I may have gone the other way. Then the first game on Friday, we got Manly Warriors. We picked Manly.
Yep.
Second game on Friday, we got Roosters Eels. I've gone with Roosters.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, so Jacko said, so you think we'll lose and you're going to put money on us? Thank God I ain't
know,
gambling.
Jacko. I know.
It's just what you do. You go,
what you do.
$5.
$5
is just
$5 is tasty.
It's too tasty just to take a swing. It's not like I'm putting big money on it either. I'm not one of those guys. Yeah, so we both say Roosters?
Just to add on to Jacko's point here is that the Warriors are the second longest odds of the weekend, with the Eels being the others.
Easy money, guys. Easy money. So we both went Roosters then, or we going Eels?
They even think that the Tigers got a better chance against the Rabbits, who are bottom of the table, than they do the Warriors against the Sea Eagles.
Yeah, so both picked Roosters. First game on Saturday's Bulldogs Dolphins. I've gone with Bulldogs.
Yeah, Bulldogs.
Yeah, and Jagger said if Wales win, we won't hear the end of it next week. Yeah, we'll end the multi because the Warriors win. And then, yeah. So both gone doggies. Next game's Cowboys Raiders. I've gone with Cowboys.
Yep, home ground. Yep.
Home ground.
Mm-hmm.
Then we've got the Tigers Rabbits. I've gone with Rabbits.
Yeah, that's probably the only away game I picked this week.
Yep. And then Dragons Titans. I've gone with Dragons.
Yeah. That was a toss of a coin, but I stuck home ground there.
Home ground as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the vague interest of trying to get the multi to work, I'm going to skip those two games.
Yeah, yes, please.
Yeah, they're both they're both really close and difficult to pick. Tigers and Rabbits both on abysmal losing streaks, and the Dragons and Titans both. Yeah, that could either go either way as well.
Yeah, and then the last game we've got Sharks Knights. I've gone with Sharks. I think they're gonna bounce back. They're gonna add on from what they did last week.
Bounce back.
Bounce back. They didn't crack 50. You know.
Yeah.
Disappointing. So how many have you picked for that multi, Paul?
So I've gone Penrith over Melbourne, Eagles over the Warriors, Roosters over Eels, Bulldogs over Dolphins, Cowboys over Raiders, and then the Sharks over the Knights. I've just skipped out the Tigers and the Dragons ones. Those two to me look are just kind of the ones where they're very. Those are two games very difficult to call, I think.
Yeah, they're on my multi that I put in earlier today while I was at work. So they'll probably cost me. I think I'm going to just check it. Why? That's it for NRL, so Jacko can run away. And T-Max said take the double boys, Wires 13 plus into Izzy on Sunday. Oh.
Sounds good. I'm just not sure about 13 plus. That's yeah. That's
I did
really
put money
gambling.
I did put money on Izzy. So I picked the Roosters, the Dogs, the Cowboys, the Rabbits, the Dragons, and the Sharks in my multi. So I kept us out of it because whenever I put us in either way, I usually lose because of it. So
okay, so
I did put money on us separately.
The Warriors have been 13 plus 3 times this season.
Yep. So they're due. That's what I'm hearing, Paul.
And 2 of those were away from home as well.
Yeah. Yep.
Against
Cowboys
and
Rabbits.
Yeah. Yeah. And so now that Jacko's left, we can safely talk about Super League. So Hull KR and Wigan sit at the top of the ladder on 32 points. Warrington are third with 30, and St Helens, Catalans, and Salford sit 4th to 6th, all on 26 points. So still really tight there. St Helens won by 17-16 over Salford. Catalans defeated Huddersfield 23-22. Hull KR defeated Castleford 36-6. Leeds defeated Wigan 30-4, so Wigan didn't get 2 wins in a week, unfortunately. Lee defeated Hull FC 42-12, and then Warrington defeated London 36-22. And this week we've got Hull FC versus London, Wigan versus St Helens, Warrington versus Leeds, Lee versus Salford, Catalans versus Hull KR, and Huddersfield versus Castleford. So London may get another win here. Hull FC, I think, is second to last, just 2 points above them. So this is probably their best shot at getting another win. So hopefully we get to talk about that. But anything else you want to add? I know we're almost 2 hours. We're going to crack 2 hours when we have that show on the Thursday, mate. You watch.
Yeah. No, better not hold everyone up any longer, eh? Nice having a chat with everyone.
Yeah, so ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us again tonight on the Standoff with Brad and Richie. For your weekly update on rugby league, tune into our show next week at 8 p.m. here on Facebook or YouTube. Just remember to search for New Zealand Sport Radio. Cheers again for joining me, Richie, and thanks, Paul, for all your help in the background. And good night, everyone.